Hey, what's going on, everybody? I just wanted to put together here a little video of a little bit of a scary incident that I had on Sunday, this past Sunday, when I was flying in my good old Buccaneer II. So yeah, I'm going to show you video that I recorded on hand while this was happening. Now, this past weekend, October 21st and 22nd, 2023, was a completely beautiful weekend for flying. I mean, it's perfect weather. It wasn't too windy. The skies were clear. Temperatures were in the upper 70s to mid 80s. It was just a beautiful day to fly, beautiful weekend to be flying, and so I did a little bit of flying on Saturday, and then I did more flying on Sunday. And my Sunday flight, here in Jacksonville, Florida, I took off at my home airport, my base airport, there at Craig Executive Airport, and I flew to the southwest, flew down the St. Johns River, past downtown Jacksonville, flew down to Doctors Lake, flew around the perimeter of Doctors Lake. Contemplated landing, doing a water landing on Doctors Lake, but as I was, flying about 50 feet off the water or whatnot, I could see that it was a bit choppy. Doctors Lake is a really wide, large lake, so really susceptible to whatever winds that there may be, and so it was a bit choppy. There were a lot of boats on the water too, jet skis and stuff like that. So, I just figured, no, I'm not going to bother trying to land, and being on the safe side. Didn't want to have to worry about too many waves and chop on the water and stuff like that. So it was a beautiful day, perfectly content with just flying around. So I went down, I flew around the whole perimeter of the lake, and then I headed back north towards downtown Jacksonville. I flew right up St. Johns River, right through the middle of downtown. I was about 300 or 400 feet off the ground, just below the tops of the buildings there, so that was pretty cool. I'll put together another video of my full flight, but this video is just for documenting the incidents that I had with my airplane. And so it was kind of an unfortunate ending to a beautiful day of flying. My total flight time for the day was about an hour, about 1.2 hours. About an hour and 25 minutes, or 15 minutes, I should say. But that was total flight time from takeoff to landing, and so yeah, everything. The plane flew beautifully, as it has been. Engine was running wonderful. I mean, it was running great. But as I was excuse me, as I was flying back towards towards the beaches, towards the East Coast, I was actually planning on heading over towards the Fort George area along the intercoastal waterway that I generally like to go and do some water landings. A nice area over there, and hang out on the beach a little bit. That was my plan. Mind you, I took off with a full tank of gas, 12-gallon tank of gas, 12-gallon tank of fuel, and I had it topped off completely, so I probably had about 12 and a half gallons or so whenever I took off. So had more than enough fuel for a couple of hours worth of flight. So, my incident was definitely not due to lack of fuel. However, in the end, it was a fuel issue. And as I go through the video here, I'll show you what happened and the things that transpired. But definitely a scary moment for me there. But I didn't panic, and fortunately, I was able to get it back to the airport safe and sound until I landed, and I'll show you what happened there on my landing. But yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll get the video started here. Now I'm taking we're coming in on the video just around the time that I started to notice there was an issue, and so I'll pick it up there. Oh shoot. What's that?
Shit.
Traffic inside, 705.
015, I switch you. You should be on approach on 124.9er. Contact Jacksonville approach, please, on 124.9er. I did that to you right off the departure. Why are you not talking about?
Shit.
124.9er, 015.
Shit. I'm losing power. Turn my fuel pump on. See if I can. See if I can increase altitude.
Tower 82300 is 5 miles to your northeast, inbound to land.
Okay, so at this point, I got on the horn. I called Tower, Craig. I was a little over 4 miles, about 5 miles away from the airport. As you can see in the video, the majority of stuff, surface underneath me was water. You know, I already had my landing gear retracted because I was already flying. You know, normally I retract it when I'm flying, especially over water. So I didn't have to worry about, I mean, I fully intended at that moment when I lost power, I fully intended to land in the water. But anyways, I kept my landing gear up because I wasn't sure if I was going to make it back to the airport. After making contact with the tower, I advised them that I was having some engine problems, that hopefully I would make it back to the airfield. They originally had directed me to runway 5 because that's the active runway that they were using. And after I notified them about the engine issues that I was experiencing, they asked if if runway 14 would be better for me, because that would prevent me from having to actually do a go around and come the opposite direction, because I'm heading south towards the airport, and runway 5 is more of a northeasterly runway, so I'd have to actually get in the downwind, go down and around, turn around and land on 5. So they asked me if I prefer runway 14, which is actually it's more of an east-west runway, and so pretty much I could do almost a straight in. That would be my closest runway to land on, and I by all means I took that. And as I was coming in, just basically, I'm constantly scanning for places to land in case in case my engine cuts out on me again, I lose power and I end up having to do an emergency landing. Once again, maintaining my landing gear in the upright position, because, like I said, there's mostly water between me and the airport. Once I pass the river, then it just becomes a bunch of places that you just don't have very many places to land. So that's why I pretty much, when I was able to get power back and established, I climbed as high as I could. Well, not as high as I could. I actually climbed up to about 12 to 1,300 feet, because I knew at that altitude I would have, it would be sufficient for me to at least find a place to land on a hard surface if I needed to. Now, there are roads and different places, but if you're familiar with the surroundings between the St. Johns River and the airport, not a lot of places. It's a lot of wooded. There's no empty fields. Not a lot of places to do an emergency landing. So I was really hoping and praying that the engine would just, it'd get me back to the airport. And fortunately, it did. It definitely got me back to the airport. So what I'm going to pick up now in the video is my landing, and I'm just now turning on short final onto runway 14. Now keep in mind, I do have a little bit of a tailwind. It's probably about an 8 or 9 mile per hour or 8 or 9 knot tailwind, so I'm going a little bit faster than what I normally would be as far as ground speed goes, because of the tailwind. Really doesn't affect my landing a whole lot. I end up carrying my landing a little bit longer than than I normally do. However, as you can see, the landing was not my best and smoothest landing at all, but it was not a bad landing at all. But we'll see. I'll show you what happens shortly after I land, and we'll pick up the video here on my short final. Okay, so there you have it. As you can tell in the video, obviously, my left landing gear strut collapsed on me. You know, it's just I've had that strut for about a year, because I've had my airplane for about a year, and if you've been following my my YouTube videos, you'll notice, or you would remember, how the very first flight, my very first test flight in this airplane, my engine stalled on me as I was taking off, and I lost power and did an emergency landing, and ended up stalling the airplane just before I landed. It stalled a couple of feet off of the ground, and it dropped down on the left landing gear and snapped my pipe. So I had to replace my landing gear pipe at that time. So it was about a year old. It's just regular Schedule 40 steel pipe. And you know, I've had some hard landings, you know, since then, and you know, nothing really. I guess just over time, it's fatigued that pipe, and you know, so there's a bend in that pipe. There's a forward bend in that pipe, which basically moves the wheels a little bit forward of the actual landing gear strut itself. But you know, when I replace the pipe, I'm going to go with straight pipe instead of putting a bend in that. Or if I do put a bend in it, it's going to be a much less bend. That's a pretty aggressive. It originally comes with a pretty aggressive bend in it, but I'm just not sure if with the landings, and you know, especially the left side. That's the side I always fly on. That's obviously the heaviest side, because that's where all my weight is, on that left side. So over time, just with some of the hard landings that I've had and stuff, I guess the pipe just got fatigued right there, you know, where it enters the other pipe, and this time it just decided to break on me. I had already landed. I started my rollout, and just as I'm starting to slow the airplane down, that's whenever it gave way and just collapsed on me. So I've got some stainless steel pipe on order, which stainless steel, you know, tends to be a little bit stronger than your standard Schedule 40 pipe. So we'll get that installed and see how that goes. And like I said, I plan on putting a straight pipe instead. That way, you know, with a straight pipe, you don't have any bends in it, so the full length of the pipe is going to absorb any stress and any impact of the landing, instead of having that point of that pressure point in the bend that could possibly weaken over time. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, but fortunately I gotta I got home safe and sound. You know, the bent landing gear, to be honest with you, I'll take that. Or the broken landing gear. I'll take that over having to ditch in the river or in the water or anywhere else for that matter because of an engine failure. Once I got the airplane back to you know, to my parking spot and everything, I had to call a towing company to come with a rollback so that they could lift my airplane up off the runway and take it over to the parking spot. But the culprit was a bad fuel line. My main fuel line that goes from my fuel tank up to the fuel pump on the engine, right where it connects to the fuel pump, it broke. And, well, I should say it didn't break completely, obviously, because I was able to still, once I turned that fuel pump on, I guess it started forcing enough fuel into the pump to where I was, you know, it was able to stay running. But fortunately, the fuel line did not completely break, but it broke enough to where obviously air, you know, it was sucking air in, and so with the Pulse fuel pump, the mechanical fuel pump on the engine itself, it obviously was not enough to be able to suck the fuel in, and so fortunately with the electric fuel pump, you know, and that was first instinct whenever I started having the problem, you know, to turn the fuel pump on. Fortunately, that's what saved the engine because it started forcing fuel into the mechanical fuel pump, which gave it that extra bit. So that allowed me to get back to the airport, you know, without having to ditch it, you know, in the water or somewhere. So anyways, fortunately, you know, that happened, but I'm going to replace all of my fuel line, and, you know, and then we should be good as new again. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this little bit of a video and my adventures, and we'll talk to you later.